is the spice of life, that we are wired to forage for food, that we might have a vast array of nutrients, that the desire for variety is hardwired into the most fundamental aspect of our instinctual brain. So, is there a way to benefit from this, or is it only going to be harmful in terms of meditation? Oops, wrong button. Let's try that again. The last thing we want to do is be a loose cannon. Now, I've heard loose cannon since I was a little boy, but did not know what it meant until I was trying to become a salesman in my late 20s. And someone explained to me that every time the cannon was fired from the gun deck of a tall ship, the recoil would cause it to roll backwards and off at an angle. And if that angle wasn't adjusted, every time it would fire in a different direction, which would not only make it difficult to aim, but would also probably destroy the ship, because it would hit the ship, its own ship, rather than another ship. That's why engineers developed little tracks, which is quite fascinating, little tracks that the cannons could rest on, so that when the recoil would absorb the recoil without changing the aim, which I thought was very clever. So how can we do the same thing as contemplatives? Science teaches us the necessity of a control group. That science teaches us many things. So we have to have a clear objective, and we have to take precise measurements. Then we need a large sample size and many groups, including a control group, to compare the results to. So what I recommend that you take as your control group is the basic meditation that I teach, the fundamental meditation that is taught by Gaurab Dorje, that was taught by the Buddha, that was practiced by the author of the Song of Enlightenment, that is the root of Zen. I believe it's my experience that you should take that as your control group. So give yourself permission to acclimate to that practice, which you can do quite easily if you practice it about once every 12 hours for 7 consecutive days. After you've done that, then you can experiment with whatever styles of meditation cross your path, because you have something to compare to. It's been my experience that as we sit in meditation, as during the inhalation, we practice mindfulness. That's when a lot of brainstorms can occur to you. Why don't I try this? Why don't I try that? Why not? Try it, but compare it to your results. So for instance, if in your morning session you tried an experiment, then I would recommend going back to the control group in the evening meditation. And if you always go back and forth between the control group, you'll see viscerally which is creating the most valuable results. And this is why it's easy to be seduced by theory. Some theories are beautiful and they're elegant and they're compelling, but they don't produce the results we desire. And we won't know that if we just jump from theory to theory to theory to theory to theory. We need to come back to a control group. Ironically, in the source text of All Dzogchen, composed by Gaurab Dorje, he warns that the most profound method is the simplest method, and it's so easy that it's often rejected by people who are stuck in rigidity, fear, controlling tendencies, and the like. So don't worry, I'm not going to leave you in the lurch. I'll go over the control group, the basic tried and true meditation, in a few minutes. I think first it could be quite lovely if together as a group we practiced the Thursday morning excerpt of Song of Enlightenment by, now I have to work hard to pronounce this, Gyatso, translated by Red Pine and adapted and amplified by yours truly. Remember, if at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. If you're using if you're using a laptop or a desktop, that chat window will be on the right. And if you're using your smartphone vertically, the chat window will be right here. Whoops, wrong button. Let's try this again. Okay. Do not search for the truth and do not dismiss delusions. Realize both are empty and without form. Without form, but neither empty nor not empty. That is Itatakata's real form. It's very easy to indulge our controlling tendencies and and like a cat batting at a kitten, we tend to bat away at things we don't want to experience. That doesn't work well. And when we breathe in, we experience whatever we experience. And when we exhale, we release and relax whatever we just experienced, whether it's accurate, inaccurate, rational, irrational, external, internal, physical, mental, pleasurable, painful, interesting, boring, glorious, or grotesque. If that is our reaction to everything, then we are truly practicing non-duality. Notice and release is the path of the Buddha. Let's continue. Nothing obstructs the mirror of the mind. It illuminates all the worlds in the cosmos. Images of 10,000 things appear, neither inside nor outside its perfect light. With universal emptiness, they dismiss the loss of karma. Such recklessness is sure to invite misfortune. Giving up existence for emptiness is the same as jumping into a fire to escape a flood. So the author is referring to two extremes. One is acting without any thought of consequence. In other words, thinking that emptiness gives us license to be just as cruel or as thoughtless as we want. But the true test of our mindfulness and our meditation, or I should say our mindfulness and our meditation, is our love, spontaneous and uncontrived. When we care about the effect we have on others, not out of fear, not out of hope of a reward, because we sincerely value the well-being of others, then we know we're on the right path. When we are indifferent to others' needs or well-being, we've missed the path. Or to quote Bugs Bunny, as he said to Daffy Duck, I think we took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. Let's continue. As for letting discussions go and grasping the... Okay, let's try that again. Third time's the charm. As for letting delusions go and grasping the truth, the letting go grasping mind is a master of disguise. Students unaware who take this for the practice mistake a thief for their child. So there's something very dangerous about a half-truth. So we have the truth of awareness and the truth of acquiescence, the truth of noticing and the truth of letting go. If we only practice letting go, then it is a form of hatred. It's a form of aversion. It's a form of indulging our controlling tendencies. So many times people use the term letting go as just a spiritual sounding way to say, well, I'm going to shove something away. So we want to be honest with ourselves, because we're not just shoving away pain. We're letting go of pain, but we're also letting go of pleasure. We're letting go of things that are interesting. We're letting go of things that are boring. We're letting go of things that are glorious. We're letting go of things that are grotesque. Letting go doesn't mean shove away. What are we letting go of? We're letting go of our resistance to those things. How do we know we're doing good at that? When we begin to feel, not necessarily say, but feel that we're okay with whatever comes, with whatever stays, and with whatever goes. And that those things can occur on their own timetable, not ours. That's very important. Let's continue with our chanting. Reducing your dormant wealth by or cancelling your merit invariably results from this. From discriminations of the mind. That is why in meditation we set the mind aside. Our focus is the power of accepting that nothing is born. So this lends itself to confusion. Birthlessness is simply a figure of speech, and it works like this. Whatever we notice during our inhalation can appear to us quite vividly. However, as we relax into our exhalation, whatever appeared to us during our inhalation could now feel as non-graspable as if it had never been born. Here's a tangible example of that. Let's pretend you were single. You had no partner. You had no child. You lived by yourself. And one night you dreamt that you had a child and the child died tragically. And you woke from that dream weeping for a child that had never been born. That is not an uncommon experience, especially as we age and approach our biological time clock, our deadline. But that's the idea, is that as we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our inhalation, however vividly it appeared to us, and that moment of relaxation and exhalation, it could feel that non-graspable. So our job is not to confuse mindfulness, which is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. We're not to confuse that for active concentration. Active concentration is rigidity. It feeds the fear and aggression center at the bottom of our brain. It turns us into miserable, cranky bastards. We don't want that. We want instead is to practice mindfulness, vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. So I look for, let me hit the right button here. I look forward to meditating with you in less than 1 minute, but first, a bit of the old housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I have studied, practiced, and reverse engineered each sect of Buddhism so that you could rapidly and easily become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us chant the brief recitation of empathetic bodhicitta and enthusiastic refuge. We'll begin with the longer triplet chant. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. And now let's chant the concise or shorter bookend version. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. So let's review the instructions of mindfulness and meditation, which are known by many terms, including Zen, Proto-Zen, Chan, Jnana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, and Trekcho. Despite the fanciness of the terms, the practice is very easy. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved not to actively concentrate, but to merely perceive, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Therefore, the key to mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Every time we exhale, on the other hand, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Therefore, the key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease during each exhalation. And now, together as a team, let us meditate as profoundly as Ahsoka Tano on Lothal. I really should change the art if I'm going to use that. Anyway, let's continue. Welcome to this morning's group practice. If at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. I check for questions approximately once every 8 minutes or so. The key to mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. The key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite the verb ease during each exhalation. Perceiving and releasing in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation is the path of mindfulness and meditation. Let us seal this morning's practice with a bit of the old chanting. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness for spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up or simply support us on Patreon. In approximately 11 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead tonight's meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.